All right, good morning. A little bit more official. We got the branding for our friends and their recommendations.
Leave a hole in the wall.
No more hole in the wall. Hopefully, we don't get cut off today and we do this the right way. But we wanted to pick up where we left off on Friday, right? And got that conversation a little bit cut off and continue to have it. And then what we did at the last of the end, we'll start just kind of now at the end. But what we would love for you guys, our clients that are listening to this, anybody that's actually listening in, is to email us at info@Babylon CrossFit with things that you would like Tommy and I to talk about. Maybe not just Tommy and I, maybe it's another client, a member, member highlights, parent highlights. It could be anything, any story that you want to hear. We'd love to, highlight whatever you guys think you want to hear. This is for you guys. We're not just trying to fill time for nothing. But hopefully give you guys some reasons to why we do things and answers behind the scenes at Babylon CrossFit and all the things that we do. So the last conversation, it was Friday. We didn't have Friday Night Lights. It was week 4. And we had left off of like what comes next after the CrossFit Open. We're kind of just left here. And since Friday, Tommy and I actually got a little bit more information about the Community Cup. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But what comes next? We just had the last 3 Friday nights. You guys just did 3 workouts, tested your limits of where you're at individually. And what do we do from here? So not really too sure where the combo got cut last time. But one of the things we did start to talk about was like my personal experience in the Open and what it's been like for me doing this for probably 12 or 13 years now. That every year I've progressed in some way. And it gets really hard when you're competing on the leaderboard and you have everyone else around you. But at the end of the day, it's really about you as an individual and how you based off. And that's what we want you guys to reflect on. And Tommy and I spoke about this last time, but it was like, for me, it's the bar muscle up. Like I've been doing CrossFit now for 10, 12 years. I had a bar muscle up pre-baby, never got it back. And to be forward, I've kind of like prevented myself from moving forward on my own journey with the hopes of getting pregnant again and like kind of like baselining myself. And since Tommy's been here, I would say you've been on my back about that a little bit in a good way as a coach, something that I need. But like remembering like I can't just plateau for myself either. And I need a coach. And just because I'm waiting for this moment in my life doesn't mean I should hold back my fitness to get there. And that's something I think I have to work on weekly. And I think that's like my individual. Do you have an individual moment? Maybe this year was a little bit harder. Or maybe from your first Open to now, what you could do versus what you couldn't do.
I would say no. I would say probably the biggest strides that I've made are like the long, high volume burpee workouts. Like it's not to use it as an excuse, but especially as a taller athlete. Like when I first came in, if we had to do a lot of burpees, I was gassed, like pretty much from the first or second round of the workout. And now like being able to hold a slightly more consistent pace and like not rest so much during burpees was like a big win for me.
This is going to be a silly question, but how do you feel like you got yourself to not feel that way about burpees?
I did a lot. I used to do a lot of like EMOMs. Like I would do like a 10-minute EMOM, 10 bar facing burpees, and then like give myself the rest of the minutes rest, do it again, maybe go a week where I would do 11 or I would add an 11th minute of doing 10 and just like building volume over, because it should be a movement at a certain point where you could kind of move consistently through them without having rest.
Yeah. So,
and I was resting a lot when I was doing them. So.
Yeah. Well, that also, and just to dial that back into where you guys can use that for classes, if you're somebody that's newer to the gym and learning burpees, you might be able to do a burpee, full range of motion down to the floor, but at the end of the day, it goes back to the intensity and what makes sense for you as an individual and how many you can do. And obviously that's dialed in on Tommy. I think they will be interested to hear that you struggled at burpees at one point.
I definitely there were a lot of skills and movements that I needed to learn, but I would say other than like heavy barbell cycling, high volume burpees just like gassed me the worst.
Yeah.
And I was the one who would be like hands on knees in the middle of the set. I remember the first Open workout, the one we did in the fall, whatever Open that was, 2020. I think it was the 2020 Open we did in the fall of 2019. It was
2020.
Like 10 rounds of 8 ground overhead and 10 bar facing burpees with 15-minute time cap. And I wanted to cry after the first workout because of the way the burpees made me feel. Like I just laid on the ground for 10 minutes, just starfish, because I could barely breathe.
So that was because that was 2020 when we had the Open at home, right? They did the Open at home, which is like everyone can do it. Like
this we did in the fall.
And then they did another thing. They didn't. I think that was like, didn't they have 2 that year?
Well, they had the one in the spring for 2019 before those games, and then the 2020 Open they did it in the fall of 2019. So it was before.
Yes, yeah, it was so wild. I remember. Wow. All messed up. But yeah, so like again, each of us can take something away from the Open, and it's going to be individualized based on where you were at, whether you're on the foundations track, the scale track, or the RX track. Each of us faced some type of wall that we couldn't do something. Yeah. Or maybe we weren't able to finish a workout in the time domain, or we could have done it faster, whatever it is. There's always a way to get better and something to chase for you as an individual. And that's what we want you guys to think about the Open is, what are those goals for you as an individual? Is it to get your first wall walk? Is it to get your first pull up? And knowing that, yes, coming to the gym is great, but at the end of the day, like, how can we help you as coaches to get there? And sometimes getting that first pull up, coming to class isn't enough. And there's more work that needs to be done. And those are the conversations we want to have with you guys to support you as coaches. So as you think about the Open and, maybe you were able to snatch a 65-pound barbell or 45-pound barbell for the first time, or maybe clean the barbell for the first time. Those are all individual wins and small wins that we encourage you guys to continue to remember, because next year, say you weren't able to do that 45 or 65-pound barbell, the goal is for you as an individual to be able to do that. And I think we always forget that in the Open because we're constantly chasing like the person next to us, even though it's fun, to remember the small wins. Yeah. And then we have the Community Cup that's coming up. So that's in June. And Tommy and I got an email over the weekend and it was like, oh, it's going to be 5 days. And we really don't know what to expect, but it sounds like over 5 days, they're going to announce 3 workouts, maybe more. We don't even know how many. Similar to the Open, it sounds like members are going to have to pay to register. Yeah. We're not going to require that at Babylon CrossFit. I'm not going to require you guys to sign up to do this. If you didn't participate in the Open and you still want to participate with us, as long as you're a Babylon CrossFit member, you are welcome to. Our intention, and depending on how it all plays out with CrossFit, is to run this as a 1-day comp in June. As soon as we get more info, we'll obviously have it. But it sounds like based on our placement in the Open, there's going to be different divisions and different workouts for each of us. Mm-hmm. And again, we know nothing more than that. Yeah, that's it. So that's what the Community Cup is. And then we said the other thing we wanted you guys to think about with like thinking about the Open is the next upcoming event for us, which is the Murph. And to build up to the Murph, we'll throw this in there that Coach Scott has started that run club. A lot of people forget that the Murph has 2 miles of running in it. And, you want to start to prep for it while it's warmer. And warmer weather's here. Finally, it's still a little windy, but we got some nice weather over the weekend. Get outside, start getting some steps in, start running. Utilize the run club if you need it. And then Murph, what's the workout? Run a mile?
Mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, mile run.
Yeah, so that we will have on the Memorial Day weekend, which is Sunday. So it's not Memorial Day Monday. I think it's the 25th. We'll get the dates written down before the next episode because I know that will be feedback. But yeah, so we have the Murph, and every year we are lucky enough to have Mr. Murphy come, Michael Murphy's father, which is huge because the Murph is a global workout. It is recognized around the world. If you guys have not watched the movie Lone Survivor, we highly recommend it. It tells the story. And there is a book too. I think it's the Lone Survivor book, right? Yeah. So if you've not read or watched that movie, we definitely recommend that. But it tells the story of Michael. But every year, Mr. Murphy comes here and he shares Michael's story. He actually told me this year they have a new video, which he's really excited to show us, which we've never seen before. Those of you who have done the Murph, we've seen the same clip from Mr. Murphy over years. So it'll be exciting to have something new. And this is your first Murph with me in the gym, right? Cool. Yeah. So the Murph can be done in any way. You can do it unbroken. How do you do it?
So the runs have to be unbroken, but I usually go 5 pull-ups, 5 push-ups, 15 air squats, 5 push-ups for 20 rounds. I break the push-ups.
Yeah. The push-ups become the hardest, I feel like.
It is. Obviously, if you're not used to running, the run will punch you in the face, but it's fully a push-up workout.
Last year I did the Murph right after the Diesel Day. So I did a Diesel Day last year, which was a 24 workout in Colorado. And it was just like a mindset thing. Yeah. So I came home and I was like, I'm going to do the Murph unbroken with a vest.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
It was fun.
Maybe I'll switch it up a little bit this year.
So you can partition it however you want. That's why I asked Tommy how he does it. Mr. Murphy will share with you guys how Michael Murphy did it unbroken. He did that run a mile, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats unbroken, ran a mile, and it was like under 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And they used to do this on base in Afghanistan. So it's like a really cool story. It's one of my favorite events of the year. It's very emotional. It's a great reminder as to why we have Memorial Day. We also collect money at the door that at our events. So you guys know the event is free for you guys, but we donate money back every year to the Michael Murphy Museum, which creates a scholarship fund for students. Our kids can apply to it too. If anybody has any local high school kids, you guys are welcome to apply to those scholarships. But yeah, it will run similar to the Open. We'll have heats. It all depends on how many people register, but we try to do the Murph all together. Normally it's about 2 heats. We normally run one at like 8:15, and then I'll kick a secondary heat off at like 9. What questions about the Murph? Anything?
For me?
Yeah.
No.
If you have any, then they might. We'll get shirts. We'll have a pre-order for shirts. That will happen within the next week or 2. So you guys will keep an eye out on your email for that. And that's it. I think the biggest takeaway from the Open, if you've not booked an InBody and had an individual conversation with either one of us within the last 3 months, you're failing yourself, I would say, to be the nicest way possible. We're here for you guys. We have this wonderful machine that I spent over $10,000 for you guys to have these conversations about nutrition, about your goals, and what you guys are trying to accomplish individually. So please utilize Tommy and I and have those conversations. We'll throw this out in the universe now as well. Tommy is going to be working on launching a nutrition challenge for the spring. So if anybody's looking for nutrition support, that is something we're going to be talking about in a few weeks. What else? I feel like you're really quiet and I'm talking a lot.
That's usually how it goes. I think if you're looking for goals for maybe next year's Open, I think this year's Open was actually very like a good representative of things that constantly show up. So wall walks, more likely than not, are going to be in the Open. I don't think they could change the standard a whole lot from what they were this year. So when we do wall walks in class, hit the standard from the Open in class. Even if you have to scale volume, it's better to do the standard and build capacity with the Open standard than to hit this certain number of reps that you're supposed to hit and never hit that standard, or else the same thing's going to happen in the Open. What else do we got?
To that said, we have the tape line still down for that purpose intentionally, so you guys can continue to practice the wall walks.
Yeah, still have the tape lines down. Even the barbell movements, like 225, 155 deadlifts are probably the most common weight that you're going to see in an Open workout. So that's a barbell to get comfortable with. 135, 95 cleans, or 85. What was it?
85, yeah.
135, 85, 95 cleans. Get comfortable with that weight. 95, 65 snatches. Obviously, this is not for age group. This is more for just like main bracket athletes. If you can get comfortable with these barbells, the Open will not be as hard. It'll still be hard, but if you could get comfortable cycling these barbells, like that's really all you need to prepare for with a barbell.
Yeah, and I think that will add into a programming note too. That's why intentionally you'll see sometimes we have heavier weights. Like sometimes you do see a 95 snatch for the females, even though the 65 snatch is in the workout. There's some workouts that are intentionally programmed to make us go heavier for progressive overload to help with our workouts. So I think that's a really, really great takeaway point.
And also like the first workout, getting comfortable cycling a 50-pound dumbbell for men, 35 for women with clean and jerks or dumbbell snatches or whatever, devil's press, even though I hope that never shows up in the Open. But like these are the weights that you're going to see over and over and over again every year.
And it's also a really great reminder to not always scale to like the easier scaling option, to try the scaling solutions they give us because they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to end it. Good job, Tommy. See, Tommy needs to talk more, right? Okay. Less Trish, more Tommy. All right. Peace out. We'll see you guys next time.